I just started my level design and level art journey. As most of you know, I'm currently making a game called Wisplight where we play as a wisp who can transform into different monsters with the goal of eliminating human invaders exploiting our island home. And previously, I teased a clip touring the ruins settlement area. In today's devlog, I will share my thought process on how I made the level and give some insights on some game design aspects of the ruins. Let's begin. So, I started making some sketches of the level that I want the player to explore. Basically, I wanted to make a level that is composed of 3 parts. The first part is the safe zone where Cassandra will be staying. This is the place where we level up our monsters. Next is the explorable area that is semi-open world. This means that the area is not linear and has forking paths to explore, but it will eventually lead to a funnel at some point, diverging into a linear path towards the goal, which is the third part. The Settlement Center. The Settlement Center will serve as the goal for the level, and our goal is to go there and defeat the boss, conquering the settlement ourselves. Basically, one of the midterm gameplay loops for Wisplight is something like this. Find a level, explore it till you reach the boss, conquer it, settle in it, and upgrade it. Then move on to the next level and repeat, until we, the monsters, will retake and conquer all human territories within the island. So one of the levels that I made is the Ruins level. I made this first since this will be the prototype for this type of gameplay loop. And we'll be using this level for our combat demo on Discord. We'll be using this to learn and get feedback and suggestions from the community to polish the combat gameplay loop further, as well as the level design aspects before making other similar levels like this one. I'll be having one-on-one video streaming on Discord and see how players play the level and the combat features, and tweak them and polish them as we go. Basically, this year will be a year of polishing the basic combat features and the level's design gameplay loop. So if you're interested in helping out with the playtesting, join us on Discord and apply as a playtester. Anyway, here's a clip of me making the first part of the settlement center, which is the central castle walls that houses the keep where we will find the settlement boss. Here, you will see me modifying the terrain and finding the right height to get a good perspective of the castle from different angles of the level from afar. Here's the finished layout of the entire castle fortress. And here's what I mean by good perspective. This perspective is what we see when we enter the ruins from the quarry for the first time. And here's us walking this bridge towards the center of the city. And here's another one from the ruined church. There's a good reason for why I designed it like this, and this plays a big role in our game's level design. I want the player to know the scope of the level that they are in as soon as they enter the area. I want the player to see their goal, which is clearly seen by the scale of the fortress from afar, and this focal point, which is a pillar of fire, which you will see from different places of the explorable area, reminding the player of its destination. So having modified the terrain to a higher point in the area helps a lot by getting a good vantage point that the player can see when they are exploring the lower areas of the level. This also acts as a guide to help the player know its bearings and know their location in the level. Now, let's tour the places that's been made so far and explain some design concepts that I picked up from several game level design tutorials. So here, we have the church ruins, which is a safe hub that Cassandra will be staying in. To enter this area, we need to pass the sewers from the clay pits to a crypt under the church. Then this will lead us up to the ruined church. As you can see here, the path is clearly seen leading to that doorway, which by instinct will draw players in. This will position our player to a specific area of the level that we can take advantage of. So having this in mind, I want to remind the player again of the goal when they reach the church, which is again clearly seen by the pillar of fire and the scale of the fortress on top of the cliff. I also added some guiding lines that will subconsciously lead the player to look at the pillar of fire. You can see them here represented by the lines pointing to the goal. You can also see these lines when we first enter the level from the quarry. Alright, the next thing I want to point out is this. Let's turn around a bit, and as you can see, There's actually a pathway here that has been hidden when we first approach the door from this angle. From this side facing the door, we can't really see the path because there's a collapsed pillar blocking the way. But as we look back, we can see that there's actually a path that leads the player to a different location, which in this case, the graveyard. This is another design technique that I will be using to hide certain paths to have the player prioritize a path that you want them to go first. There will be several paths like this in the level that I place specifically to lead the player somewhere else first before exploring other areas. Obviously, I will not be revealing them because that will be spoilers. Alright, so let's explore the castle walls. As you can see here, the walls have been breached and there are scaffoldings in place. My goal in this design is to add lore and mystery to the place. I want to provoke questions as the player explores the area once they discover points of interest like this breached wall. So as the player explores this part of the castle, hopefully I will provoke questions like, why are the walls breached? What happened here in the past that did this amount of damage to a thick, sturdy wall? And as we discover the passageway to the other side of the wall, we will see this boulder stuck on the other side. This will hopefully give the player an aha moment that will answer the question on how the wall was breached. Then, this will lead to another set of mysteries. Questions like, who did this? Why did they do this? What happened way back that triggered this event? Who lived in this fortress and who did they piss off? There will be several areas of the level that will look like this, and most of our storytelling will be done through the environment and lore that Cassandra will discover as she explores and researches old archives scattered around the level. Now let's continue the tour and head up to the scaffoldings. As we move up towards the ramparts, the pillar of fire will again remind us of our goal. Also, here we can see a one-way valve. One-way valves are pathways that the player can move one way only. In this case, we can't go up, but we can go down this path if we're on the other side. There are two cases where these one-way valves are used. First is to create commitment and a sense of no going back. An example of this is when we enter the boss area. There will be no turning back or running away from the boss fight. Another use for this is to create one-way shortcuts that loops back to the start, at the same time blocking the other area. An example is this wall design. Here's the start of the journey, and this is the end. To go there, we will be taking this path. We open this gate, move down and enter the gate, fight some enemies here, then move up the stairs to the inner wall. Backtracking our steps back to the scaffolding is too far and could trigger enemies that could spawn in the area. When we are on the other side of the wall, we can actually go back to the scaffoldings faster going this way, at the same time avoiding unnecessary enemy encounters. There will be several areas of the level just like this that utilizes valves and one-way shortcuts. And again, I want you guys to discover them yourselves once you play the game. Next, let's talk about unlockable paths. So as you've witnessed, we open the outer gate by triggering the mechanism that uses essence. There will be objectives like this scattered all across the level, and our goal is to unlock them to proceed to the next challenge. There are two reasons for this. First is to give the player a goal to reach, and obstacles to conquer. Just like this area where we need to defeat mercenary guards camping, and the reward for defeating them is unlocking the first gate of the outer walls. Second is to create shortcuts for the player once he proceeds to the next area of the level. So in this area, the flow is like this. We enter the area, defeat the mercenaries guarding the place, then move up the scaffolding to the ramparts. Then unlock the main gate with the essence. After opening the main gate, this area is now accessible to us and we don't really need to go back to this area again to defeat any mercenary guards camping the area. We just directly move forward to the next goal, which is the second gate. Alright, that's a short summary of my thoughts on the creation of our levels. I'll be making more devlogs like this one, explaining my thoughts on how I made the levels, design, and art for the rest of the area. So subscribe if you want to get updated on features and updates for our game Wisplight. Also, we're live on Steam and you can already wishlist our game. And again, if you're interested in helping out with playtesting, join us in Discord and apply as a playtester. I'd like to thank my patrons for supporting the development of Wisplight. Could not have done all of these without your support, especially in these assets that we've acquired throughout the development. If you're interested in helping with the funding of Wisplight's assets, I'll leave a link to our Patreon page down below. So, on our next devlog, let's start designing and adding level art to our first safe hub, which is the Ruined Church. Till next time.